I don't want to generalize here, but I want to know about things like the food industry is what I think of. I want to know about things like you mentioned Supercuts, a service or Massage Envy. I think of those, those service style franchises. Do you point people in any direction? I know that I'm probably pushing on like the right matches for the right person, right? But like, I would love to hear some trends in that way or anything that you're like beware of as far
Yeah,
as
yeah,
like
yeah.
industry
So
specific.
I am the queen. Like I even have videos on my YouTube channel about no food, no food, no food. And I love my food franchisors, so I'm so sorry, but I'm just not a fan of a lot of fixed costs and a lot of variable costs. Like, when you look at a food-based business, people think everybody has to eat. Like, look at the line of Chick-fil-A. That's got to be a great investment. Well, not necessarily when you factor in number one, the big cash outlay to build it, even though Chick-fil-A, you don't actually build it. That's a different conversation. But you've got all the minimum wage employees. It's a 6 or 7 day a week business, right? Lots of moving parts, long days, very slim margin to begin, perishable product, health codes. There's so many factors, right? There are just faster, easier, better ways to make money. So
Hmm.
I'm not going to be your consultant if you're looking for food. I will challenge you all day long. Even people that say, I'm only buying food, I say, okay, well, if you're going to work with me, let's just have some fun. Let's just cast a wider net and let's just see what happens. Nobody ever ends up in food. They just don't know what I already know until I show them. So when you
Wow.
ask me, what do I like? I like businesses with controlled fixed costs. So it can be something brick and mortar like Massage Envy or a yoga studio or fitness because you have controlled fixed costs. So what I love about that is the predictable scalable revenue that you get from membership. So
Mm.
when you have a lease and okay, so my fixed expenses are my labor, my lease, and my insurance. Okay, so let's say that that that's going to be 20,000 a month and that's covered with 200 memberships, let's say. So you're like, game on. How quickly can I get to my 200 members? And then what happens when you get to 300, 500, 800 members? What happens is your bottom line that maybe started out at 15, 17, maybe 20% starts creeping up to 25, 30, 40. Like there are some businesses wrapped in a membership where in $1 million in top line revenue, people clear 400 grand. That's
Yeah.
never happening in food because you
Yeah.
cannot escape the expense. No matter how many Subway sandwiches you push out the door, you always have the cost of the bread, the cost of the meat, and the cost of the human to make it. So you can keep
Wow.
growing and growing and growing sales, but your expenses trail along. So I just like businesses where we can leave the expenses in the dust and keep adding to that bottom line. And who doesn't?
Yeah. You're singing music to my ears. This is what single family rental properties are. A lot of fixed expenses. Yes, there's some variable expenses. And then as we can move rent, of course, it's like that makes sense. And again, I'm drawing that parallel. But it's interesting to hear you say like a hard stop on food. If you want to get into food, I'm not your gal. So
Don't
that's
call
very
me.
insightful. And I hope
Go somewhere else.
I'm thinking of some of our audience members that might be in the food industry being like, this gal knows what she's
Wait,
talking
no,
about here.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Food people are the easiest people to talk out of food. Like it's just like a former entrepreneur is the easiest person to talk into the value proposition of a franchise. If you've ever created a business from scratch and you know how freaking hard that is and how much time and energy and hustle and money it takes, I mean that's a one in a lifetime I'm done. Right. So
Yeah.
those entrepreneurs who say, I'm ready to grow, they turn to franchising all day long because if somebody, I'll pay you a franchise fee to have that business already tried and true and ready and the system's ready to go and the marketing and the technology and just be able to start executing and moving toward profitability from day one.